Hi everyone. We'd like to today give you a snapshot and insight into some of the strategies we can use to develop our children's skills in reading. So we hope you find this video useful, and we know that lots of the points that we'll discuss and cover you will be doing or have done with your children at home, but we hope you can use this to help pinpoint what your child may just need that bit more of or need to develop further in their reading journey.
It is really important to develop children's pre-reading skills, and one of the best ways of doing this is exposing your child to lots of language, even from the very beginning when they're inside of the womb. We really stress that children hear lots of nursery rhymes as they play such an important part to language acquisition right through the early years and beyond. Some of the reasons for this include hearing the rhythm in language, understanding how language works, spotting patterns in language, hearing lots of new vocabulary and exploring what that means, developing listening and attention skills, and developing non-verbal communications. And that's just to name a few. And it's so important how nursery rhymes obviously play a role, and especially with my little 2-year-old, because she starts singing the nursery rhyme Incy Wincy Spider or Rain Rain Go Away when it has started raining. So she's been able to take the language from that nursery rhyme and put it into her own context and play around with it. As we know, reading books also runs alongside this, and even before you open a book, discussing the front cover is vital, as you can point out the title, who the characters might be in the story, and where the story is set. This helps your child to engage with it before it's even read and opened.
As children develop their interest in stories and practice developing their reading skills, they learn how to handle books as well. So it's really important children have lots of opportunities to hold books and handle them and practice turning the pages. As very often as children, when they're very young and they start to show an interest, you'll notice that they'll turn the pages and they might turn 5 at a time or 3 at a time. And it's that skill of knowing that you turn one page at a time in the right direction, and also that they're able to hold the book the right way up. Sometimes it can be upside down. So having opportunities to hold and handle books is really. Children then become familiar with print around them. So it's really important they're given lots of opportunities right through their reading journey to be able to spot print. And by print we mean sounds and letters to make up words that we might spot, for example, in the supermarket logos or on traffic signs, or when your child's opening up a yogurt pot lid, they might see print on there and they might recognize some familiar print. It's really important that they have chances to see that print carries meaning. Another skill that children will develop is when they're starting to recognize more print and they're looking in their books, is that they'll be able to point along to the words that are being read, or words that eventually they're able to sound out and read, and understand that print, when it's being read, is read from left to right, and that they're pointing along to each word as it's read.
So when children begin their phonological awareness journey, they are becoming aware of sounds around them and are starting to be able to differentiate between the different sounds they hear, such as they might be able to hear a bus driving along the road or a bird tweeting, and it's being able to differentiate those two sounds and say what they are. And we also teach the children to hear the syllables in words, so if they're able to clap the syllables in their names. This is one of the most crucial skills to be able to differentiate between sounds, as it's the first step they need to become great readers and to be able to learn their phonic sounds, as it gets them attuned to the sounds around them. And ways to develop this could be that they go on a listening walk with you. And I don't know if you've seen Mrs. Hodgson's lovely video on YouTube. She's going on a bit of a listening walk and seeing what she can see. But it's really great to do that with your children as well, as it gets them listening, and it brings up those attention skills as well.
We then introduce the children to print, so sounds and letters that represent those individual sounds that we make. And we call them pure sounds. And we're just going to go through how we say each sound and how we teach it at school. The reason we say them pure sounds is so that we're not adding an at the end of each letter. So for example, if we were sounding out and reading the word mat and we were saying ma-a-ta, it would sound like matter. Whereas if we say mat, it then helps us to read that word accurately. So this is how we teach and say each sound. So if we start at the top, a, s, d, t, I, p, g, o, k, k, a, b, f, e, u, h, sh, j, v, y, w, th, z, ch, qu, x, ng, and nk. As you've probably noticed, there are a few sounds there that have two letters together that make one sound. So I'm just going to highlight, there we go. If you can see there, the sh sound, we say to the children, we call that a special friend, special friends. So that's where two sounds, so the s and the h came together, they come together to make one sound, sh. So when they're spotting that to read words in words, they would sound it out as sh. So for example, in the word ship, sh, it, p, ship.
So after we teach the phonic sounds, or when we're starting to begin to teach the phonic sounds, we begin developing a skill of oral blending, which is when the children don't see the words, but they hear it broken down, and we wait for them to have the opportunity to see if they can put it together. And it's really, really good if you can try and give them as much opportunity to practice this skill. And we do this a lot, especially when giving them an instruction such as, can you go and get the k up cup, and then see if they can have a go at hearing the words before we say it. This helps your child to practice hearing individual sounds and then putting them together to make a word. And oral blending is, again, when your child doesn't actually see it yet, they're just hearing it first.
So following on from oral blending, we then move on to introducing the children to short words, where they have the opportunity to start using their phonic knowledge, their sound knowledge, to start sounding out words and putting the sounds together to read the words. So by segmenting, we mean segmenting is when we break a word down into its single sounds. For example, v, a, n, van. And we'd encourage, as the children begin in this journey, we'd encourage them to point to each sound, point underneath each sound as they say it, and then move their finger, go back to the beginning, go back to the v, and move their finger underneath where the arrow is, across to the a and the n as they put the sounds together, van.
So children read alien words so that they can practice decoding and their knowledge of sounds. And it gives them an extra challenge to work out whether it's a real or a fake word. Obviously, we don't want children to see these very often, as we don't want to learn these fake words as they're not real. So we just kind of do it as an extra challenge for them. And it obviously helps them in the future when they do come across words that are not very familiar with them, that they're able to have the skills there to decode them. So yeah, just maybe show them about once or twice, and that's it, leave it there and just say it's a fake word, it's a word that we can't put into a sentence, it doesn't make any sense.
So alongside, really importantly, alongside being able to read and decode words phonetically, it's really important that we develop children's comprehension skills, so their understanding of text, words, stories, non-fiction books, everything like that. So they're really building up a big picture. So if we give some examples of how we may do this on this slide. So for example, here you can see a picture of a pig in the mud on the farm. And this could be a sentence that's in a book that is being read to the children. So it was a hot day on the farm and the pig was happy. So if I wanted the child to retrieve an answer from the text, there's something that's there and they've read out loud, so the answer is in the text, I might say something like, what kind of day was it? So then we'd be really wanting them to hear and see the word that it was a hot day. So the answer is there. So we'd want them to recall that it was a hot day. I then might ask them a question which requires more of their inference knowledge and skills. So that's where we want them to maybe unpick it using clues or prior knowledge that they have. So for example, I might say, why do you think the pig is happy? So here the answer doesn't tell us why the pig is happy. It was a hot day on the farm and the pig was happy. It doesn't tell us why in the text. So we've got to use our own knowledge there and use clues. So they might look at the clues and see that the pig's smiling and the pig is in the mud. So they might think, oh, the pig's really happy in the mud. He likes being in the mud, playing in the mud. And they might use their prior knowledge as well to help them. So they might have been to a farm and they know that pigs like rolling in the mud there. We also like to develop and allow children time to make predictions about what's happening in stories and books. And this is just a picture, obviously, in a sentence there, but you may have a book where you ask the child, what do you think is going to happen next? And they might have some time to think. So here they might be thinking, oh, what might the pig do next? Will the pig have any friends? Will there be any friends that come along? Or will the pig roll in the mud and the farmer might come along and be a little bit cross? Or I wonder if the pig is going to have a bath later or wash that mud off or have any food next, or let them kind of use their imagination and clues around them, and again, prior knowledge to make predictions of what they think is going to happen next. As you get to the end of something that you've read, a story you've read, it's also really important to allow your child time, look back through pictures, talk about the story and think about what happened. Give them opportunities to retell that story, sequence events. So what happened first in the beginning, what happened in the middle, and finally what happened in the end of our story. And talk about what did you like about that story, or was there something you didn't like? Would you change the story? So really having that open dialogue and open discussion about the story. And finally, we'd just like to spend a minute just talking about reading eggs. We know lots and lots of you are using this fantastic resource that we've brought into as a school, and we can't stress enough how valuable it is. It's really, really valuable. It really does promote and encourage great progress in reading. So we can't stress enough that we really, really encourage you to allow your child, if possible, to go on this daily. We're not saying all day, but as little as often as they can. It really does help. By the end of reception, we are aiming for the children to be at MAP 5, so have achieved up to MAP 5. That's where we are aiming for all the children to be. So here are some examples on the screen, and you can pause the video, obviously, as and when, of some of the games that will crop up in Reading Eggs on the app. And it just shows you here some of the learning skills that your children will be developing through these games. So, for example, that top game there on the top left is about practicing their letter formation with the numbers there. So by clicking on those numbers, they are going to form a letter. You've got the treasure boxes there. So they're going to be hearing the first sound in words by identifying what sound comes first and using the picture there. So lots and lots of really great things. it is a great resource that children can, with you nearby, access independently, but we would advise you just to check up on your children using it and support them when needed and where needed, as sometimes they may just need a little bit of help navigating their way around and using these games correctly. Thank you very much for watching and listening to our very short presentation, and we hope this was useful and helpful for you. Please do contact us if you want to ask anything further, or would like any more information, or to ask any questions. Thank you, and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.